Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome to another edition of the Genesys Cloud Communities Q&A show, the show where we answer your pressing questions in the Genesys Cloud online community. My name is Matt Lawson. I am your online community manager, and what is there to say? Happy May the 4th, happy Cinco de Mayo. I only had one shirt that could live up to this occasion, and wouldn't you know it, I'm so happy to be here celebrating this day, or 48 hours with you all. Some cool stuff is going on in the community in particular. We have a lot of really good WEM, WFM events coming up that'll be great for you. I say that because the WEM community is brand new, but we have this episode that is dedicated to some new WFM features that are coming out. And then later this month, we're going to have an Ask Me Anything event where you can ask your questions to our WEM product experts. So those questions may be about the new features that have come out, or maybe you're new to WFM or WEM and you just want to ask some questions about how to get started. It's all fair game on that day, which will be May 28th. More events will be announced in the Genesys Cloud and WEM communities. So feel free to keep an eye on those forums for more information. Until then, we have a pretty good episode today. Two members of the WEM team are going to be stopping by. Our friend Marcela, who's one of the WEM moderators, will be here. She's going to go over what the WEM disciplines are for Genesys, and that's kind of an interesting discussion. Then we're going to meet Michele, who's going to go over the new features that will probably be out around the same time as this episode. And of course, we'll finish up with our old friend George, who's going to walk through a question that he found of interest on the community. So, what else is there to talk about? Let's hop in and get started with Marcela. Marcela, old friend, WEM enthusiast, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. My first time.
Your first time on the show officially. I think in a previous episode, we included that brief interview that we did with you and the other WEM community managers. But, you know, maybe not everybody saw that. You know, our YouTube channel has hit 1,000 subscribers since then. So a lot of new people are showing up and watching things. So it's an exciting time. Marcela, real quick, why don't you just give yourself a quick introduction? Tell everybody, you know, your title, what you're working on, all that fun stuff.
Okay. Hi. My name is Marcela Reisa. Marcela is fine. I am a product marketing manager, and I work specifically for workforce engagement management. So I do all the fun stuff around WEM for, you know, just the community. We have LinkedIn groups. We have a whole bunch of information coming out that's for everyone to consume and learn and get excited about workforce engagement.
Yeah, earlier we were joking about how May is going to be such a big month that we haven't spoken with marketing about this at all. But you and I together are calling it WEM, right? WEM,
yes.
I think is the idea.
Perfect. Exactly. This month we have so many activities coming up, not just in the community as well as our LinkedIn group and doing our GCAP channel. So we're really excited, and we're just calling it WEM, all WEM, all May.
All WEM, all May. Tons of stuff for everybody to do. And, of course, that's all really exciting. So very cool. Yes. We hope you all can join us for some activities. And, Marcela, I know you and I are going to be working on an Ask Me Anything event in the community that'll be going on later this month, right?
Yes, we are going to have an Ask Me Anything on the 28th around these new features coming up for WEM this month, which are really exciting, which we will touch on in this show. So, you know, get excited. You can go in, and if you have the WM, play around, and if you have a lot of questions, May 28th is the day to come in and just bombard us with your queries, your things you're excited about, things you don't understand, and we will have experts in there just answering your questions all day.
Perfect. And more details about that will be coming out on all of your local news stations related to Genesys. So, Marcela, one of the things that we always do here when we have a new expert, which you technically classify as, is we like to ask a random question that was submitted by one of our community members or a GCAP member in some instances. And today's question I thought was really interesting. It's a throwback to not too long ago when maybe you would go outside your house and see automobiles on the street. You don't see that as much these days. But this question comes from Alexandria, and she wanted to know, what is your biggest pet peeve about other drivers? Biggest pet peeve?
Honestly, and I mean, blinkers. just like use them. I do not read minds. Even if I'm walking on the street and you're going to take a turn, let me know. If there's nobody behind you, still let me know.
Perfect. I think that's a good one for me, just because I deal with it all the time, going to and from the office. I hate tailgaters. I'm not a tailgater. I was lectured about that at a young age, and so it's just never been in part of my routine. But that's definitely a big pet peeve for me. So everybody just, give that 3 cars distance or whatever you need to feel safe.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, Marcela, I know you mentioned later in the show we're going to have Michele walk through the new features that are coming out. But before that, you kind of wanted to set the stage just a little bit and give us an overview of the different disciplines that exist within WEM. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Cool.
If I can just go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
I will go ahead.
Perfect.
So, Matt, how much do you know about WEM?
Well, so I know very little. I know the little bit that I've talked about you. I know it stands for Workforce Engagement Management, and I'm very curious to learn more.
Perfect. So I think this graphic is going to really help us in that case. How we're seeing from Genesys side, WEM really is integral to the customer experience. It is sort of employee focused, but what we want to sort of make really clear is that all of these sort of capabilities on the customer facing side really feed into the back office or just sort of the contact center everyday management. Mm-hmm. So if you look here on the left side, we have just sort of a whole bunch of capabilities that have to do with sort of like our contact center channels and how we are interacting with our customers. Now, what's important here is the AI-powered capabilities allows us to take information and sort of feed it onto our right side workforce-oriented capabilities. So a lot of the information that we're receiving from clients directly feeds into our 3 disciplines, which is sort of like the 3 ways we are seeing that, or rather than 3 ways, it's just sort of like 3 core areas within workforce engagement management that are sort of key to the success of, the employees, as well as sort of delivering excellent customer service.
Gotcha. So everything on the left is kind of just eventually going to be filtered into actionable data or items that'll come into play through the workforce engagement management tools that we offer, right? Is that correct?
Exactly. So, you get sort of a call or a set of calls. The information that you're getting from that is being sort of fed directly into the workforce side, especially on quality assurance and compliance, where these recordings and, being able to sort of track what's happening, what areas maybe agents weren't successful and what can be improved on, that is immediately sort of used to start sort of employee performance actions where, a supervisor can be like, okay, maybe this agent needs coaching or we need general training because we're seeing that on this specific skill, let's say, communication or empathy, we need stronger agents. And that as well, sort of just feeds into resource management where we're talking, about scheduling and we're talking about forecasting. How do I, set up within people's schedules, training sessions that won't disrupt general productivity? So you're not like taking out 20 agents to do a training session and disrupting the entire contact center floor. So, key here is sort of to understand how the real power of Genesys WEM is that it is so integrally woven into the customer experience platform that it all sort of works perfectly together without having sort of to go through long periods of delay where, this data needs to be processed in order to actually get to important actions that will help productivity and will help, just generally speaking, improve the contact center's performance.
Okay, cool. So one question that I have for you, because I know after we talk with you, we're going to be meeting Michele, who's going to share some WFM releases that are coming up that are really exciting. How does that fit into the graph that you just showed? Does that relate to the quality assurance part, or is it more under like the workforce resources? Like, where does that fit in?
So the features we're going to be showing are really exciting. They pertain specifically to what we're calling resource management. And resource management, it's really easy to sort of think about hiring, though that is part of it. What we understand in resource management is a lot of like, how do you get the contact center functioning the best it can within, a time frame? So you have scheduling features, which she will be touching on. You have forecasting, where you're able to sort of be, okay, for this month, we're expecting this demand. So we need staff to meet that. Likewise, that gives into capacity planning. Do I have enough? Should I need to hire more or less, or what do I need? And of course, budgeting goes into that. What's really exciting about the feature she's going to let you guys demo and see is that they are really sort of stretching the periods that you can sort of plan for. So you can schedule various weeks, and you can have a higher look into sort of like the contact centers, not just like one by one, but what are being called sort of like management units or business units, which is great for like enterprise.
Cool. Perfect. Well, that all sounds great. I'm really looking forward to hearing what Michele has to say. Anything else that you want to add to kind of set the stage? I know you've talked about, I know you're one of the lead managers of the WEM community that exists on the Genesys community. What do you think? Anything else you want to share to your community members that they need to know?
Yes. So in the community, we are doing sort of working really hard to get a lot of really insightful information, just stuff to help our community members get the most out of their product. And this month, as we mentioned, it's WEM. All May. We will be having the AMA, which we mentioned, as well as a little more of a deep dives into these disciplines that I mentioned. So you will have, more information about how they work. Likewise, we currently have a LinkedIn group that, you guys can just ask to join, and that's a great opportunity to sort of talk to other experts and get, information that's not just sort of Genesys focused, but maybe a little bit more of industry news. So everyone is very welcome. We're really open to questions. We love our community members.
Awesome.
I hope to see everyone there.
Cool. Well, I'm convinced, and I know we'll be working together in a little bit to announce, to do more, announcement around the AMA. But until then, everybody, if you want to catch up with Marcela, please find her in the community. She's always checking those. She's always checking that forum out, and we're just a quick discussion post away. Perfect. Marcela, thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Matt.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.
All right. I certainly hope that overview of the WEM disciplines was helpful. Now let's check in with Michele, because she's going to go over some of the exciting WFM features that are coming out later this week. Michele, welcome to the show.
Hey, Matt. How's it going? I'm doing great.
Good. Doing very well. I don't know if you're aware of this, but you are actually community royalty, because back, I think when I first met you, you were a part of the community's inaugural Ask Me Anything event. Do you remember that day about, I don't know, a year ago? It's been a while.
I do. It's
Cool.
been a while, and I'm looking forward to doing another one.
Awesome. Well, I think this is your first time being on the show. And as such, a lot of our community members who are watching this may not know who you are. Real quick, can you talk a little bit about who you are and what you do at Genesys?
Sure. As you said, my name is Michelle Fisher, and I am a director in product management for workforce management within the WEM group for Genesys Cloud.
Awesome. And today, I know you came because you wanted to talk about some workforce management. I said that right. WFM changes that are coming to Genesys Cloud. Is that correct?
That's right. On May 6th, we're releasing 5 really major new capabilities that are going to change the way workforce management looks and feels, but we wanted to give you a walkthrough of what they'll be like, but also give you the reassurance that, how your workforce management tool works today will remain the same after the migration.
Awesome. I know you said you're giving out 5 new features. That's a lot for people to take in, especially like in one sitting. Which feature do you think you're most excited about?
Personally, I think the one that we're going to get that will be used the most is the multi-week forecasting and scheduling, because previously in Pure Cloud, people had to do it 1 week at a time. Mm-hmm. But we also have some great new features allowing you to streamline the workforce planning process by allowing you to group things other than just queues and not have to build those individually now. So we're really excited to get those out to you.
Awesome. Well, I know a lot of people, I think, are watching this episode specifically for this walkthrough. So why keep the anticipation going? Let's just hop in and see what you're shaking.
Let's do it.
All right, awesome. Let's head out.
So hi, everyone. On May 6th, we will be releasing a set of features for workforce management that have significant functionality and UI changes. And this demo is to give you an idea of what to expect after we release those features. These features are the introduction of business units and planning groups, multi-week forecasting and scheduling, and some new work plan constraints. One thing to note is that Genesys will automatically migrate customers for each organization that uses workforce management. The migration will automatically add the new configuration categories in workforce management with values based on each customer's existing configuration. Immediately after the migration, it will look different, but nothing has been changed to impact how your current setup works. So you will be able to do your work as usual. Genesys will automatically make the necessary configurations to enable the new features while preserving the way your environment works today. As you learn and experiment with the new capabilities, you may eventually want to make some changes, but it's not necessary post-migration. We have updated all the Resource Center pages to reflect these new features, so please feel free to check there for further details. As I mentioned, one of the big features we introduced now is this concept of business units. And business units, or BUs, as you may hear them referred to, are a new top-level configuration type within workforce management that enables customers to combine management units into a single entity. After the migration, Genesys will automatically add one business unit to the organization for each management unit. The name of the new business unit is based on the management unit assigned to it and will be set to the same division as the management unit's division. The name of the BU will be the same name of the MU with the text BU in parentheses next to it. So for example, if your MU is technical sales, it will say technical sales parentheses BU when you go to this screen. Please be aware that all activity codes, short-term forecasts, schedules, and historical adherence have been moved to the business unit level as well. Let me show you the primary areas within WFM that have been changed to support this new feature. So you can see here on the General tab that the start day of the week and the time zone settings have been moved from the management unit configuration up to the BU level. Within the short-term forecasting tab, these historical weeks configuration now exists here at the business unit level, where it was previously at the MU prior to migration. Speaking of management units, you will also notice some changes within that configuration. After the migration, Genesys will automatically change these for you. click on it. On the scheduling tab, you will now see a new configuration for planning period. The planning period start date is the date for which the planning period will begin building the schedule. The planning period length is the number of weeks from 1 to 6 for which the schedule constraints will be applied. This toggle will be set to off by default. It will need to be set to on and properly configured to use the new multi-week scheduling constraints, and we'll talk about those in a minute. Within the Shift Trades tab, the agent matching criteria has a new optional settings for agents to be within the same planning group in order for auto trades to go through. Within the performance area, we have made some additions to there as well to support these new configurations. So you'll see here that now there is a new management column within the real-time adherence view. So now let's talk a little bit about planning groups. That's a brand new concept to Pure Cloud. Planning groups are a new set of configuration, it's a new configuration object that allows for the logical grouping of cues, media, languages, and skill sets. Organizations can use planning groups to simplify the planning process because of the way these items can be combined and aggregated. After the migration, Genesys will automatically add one or more planning groups within the business unit depending on your existing configuration. There will be a new planning group for each existing route path post-migration, so you will have the same forecast granularity as you did before. Each planning group has a service goal template assigned to it, with the same service goals that were configured on the service goal group previously. We will talk about service goal templates next, but just note for now that one has been assigned to the new planning group. Each planning group is limited to one media type, and route path associations now support language and skill settings in addition to cues. Combining multiple route paths into the same planning group will cause them to be treated as one bucket for forecasting. Combining low volume paths can reduce planning work and improve forecasting. Planning groups are a new configuration object which does allow you to group all of these together. Let me show you some areas that now support planning groups. This agent tab here, if there were agents that were skilled to work on this particular planning group, would be displayed here. Also note that the planning group column replaces the cues, languages, and skills column, and an extra option exists to filter agents assigned to a management unit. Within the schedule tabs, if you click on a new schedule, within the filter button, you will see here that there is a new drop-down menu to filter by planning groups. So that's another way you can sort your schedules. Similarly, in the performance area, you now can have there is a new planning group option here which replaces the existing queue filter. So you can filter your intraday view that way. We talked a bit about service goal groups, so I'll go service goal templates. So let me go into those a little bit more. These service goal templates replace the service goals functionality and allow you to define service goals for the business. They can be assigned to one or more planning groups in the business unit. As part of the migration, Genesys will automatically add a service goal template for each service goal group it is based on, and it will have the same name as the service goal group it was named to. Each template will have the same service goals from the service goal group it is based on. All new service goal templates are associated within the new business unit. As previously mentioned, any existing short-term forecasts have been moved to the business unit automatically. There is now a new import forecast option that allows users to import an externally created forecast. Please be aware this is not an import of historical data. It really is just an import of an existing forecast. One of the new capabilities we introduced is the ability to create forecasts and schedules that span multiple weeks when using the automatic best method selection or this import forecast option. The number of weeks is used to specify how many weeks from 1 to 6 you'd like to build the forecast for. Previously, you could only do it for 1. Please note that the weighted historical index and the weighted historical index with source data import options are still limited to 1 week, and we have no plans to add the multi-week capability to these options. Another important item to note is that the average talk time and average ACW time have been removed from short-term forecasting. The average handle time remains. If you open any existing forecast, these metrics will still appear, but they will be tagged as legacy. Now we'll move on into schedules. There is a new column which displays the number of weeks for which the schedule is built. Another change is that the schedule editor within a schedule is no longer a pull-down menu. These dotted icons allow you to display how the schedule is displayed. So we have a day view, a week view, a multi-week view, or even the vertical view. As mentioned when we talked about planning groups, there is a new filter option for planning groups within the schedule view, and it is here. So you can filter that view. And we'll go back to the schedules. Just like with forecasting, there is now a new option to specify how many weeks you'd like to build the schedule for from 1 to 6, just like with forecasting. And also, when you are using the planning period options, which we will discuss, it is based on these number of weeks, but it's set within the planning group or the planning period configuration. Now we're going to talk about work plans. Hi, we've also made some changes to how work plans get used. So one of the first things you will notice is that the edit weekly details modal dialog box has been changed to edit work plan details. And it has 4 new tabs which correspond to the type of constraints that can be applied. Now that we support multi-week scheduling, we've also added a series of constraints that span multiple weeks, and the schedule builder will look back to the previous schedules to ensure these constraints are not violated. There is a deep dive video of these constraints, so please feel free to watch that if you want more details on these work plan constraints.
Is that video on the Resource Center?
No, it's on Genie, and it's been sent to the field, so they should have it. I just didn't know how to, because this is going to both customers and internal, so I didn't know where to post it.
Okay. We'll make sure they get a link to it.
Yeah, okay. And then this is where I'm done, so we could actually, like, before you go back, we could cut to this page. Wait, hold on. Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Further details are available in the Resource Center for all these capabilities. Just remember that day 1, things are going to look different, but your setup has been preserved and you can continue using workforce management like you were before the migration. We hope you enjoy using these new features, and over time we'll incorporate these more advanced capabilities into your planning process. One more thing to note is that we will be having an Ask Me Anything event on May 28th within the Genesys community, so please join us. More details will be coming on the Workforce Engagement Management community page soon. Thanks for your time.
Awesome. Thanks for the walkthrough, Michelle. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. We hope that this will give you a heads up of what's to come and give you some reassurance that everything will continue working the same as it did before, even though it looks different.
Right. And you said that these new features will be going out on May 6th. Is that correct?
Yes, that's our general availability for them.
Cool. And it'll be going to all of our Genesys Cloud users. Is that right?
It will.
Awesome. Very cool.
Every Pure Cloud 3 user.
Okay, perfect. And if anybody has a question, they can post in the WEM community, and we'll definitely try to get to them as soon as possible, right?
Absolutely. And don't forget, if you do have questions, feel free to attend the Ask Me Anything event coming up on May 28th.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks, Michelle. I really appreciate the walkthrough, and I'll see you on May 28th.
Looking forward to it.
All right, have a good one.
Okay,
bye.
Bye.
Hi, Matt. Been a long time, seems like. Just wanted to say hi from Southern California. Well, okay. So I'm not really in Southern California. That's the view from my window when I was a kid. I'm really in my basement in Indianapolis. But hey, best I can do. This week I wanted to share something with you that I found kind of interesting out on the community. I'll go ahead and share my screen here. And this week I wanted to go over something that Josh here posted. I don't have the best answer necessarily to match exactly what he's looking for, but I do have an answer that I think applies more broadly across the board. I'm not sure people really know about this feature at Pure Cloud and how it works. So first off, Josh's question says, hello everyone, I'm trying to see if the following is possible. Using the performance interactions view, search for all contacts inbound or outbound for a particular phone number. I know we can search by Annie to get inbound calls and calls that convert to callbacks. I know I could search Dinas for outbound calls. I cannot seem to search for all calls where Dinas or Annie equals a phone number. I'm basically forced into doing two separate queries. Are we able to add OR conditions to performance/interaction filters? Is there another field I'm not aware of that contains the external phone that would be better searched so that I only need to enter the phone number once? The issue was reported when a compliance officer was trying to determine all of the calls related to a particular customer/phone number, and it appeared that certain interactions were not returning correctly using the interaction filter. The missing interaction was an outbound call where the customer's phone number was stored under the Dinas field rather than the Annie, where all the inbound phone numbers are stored. This does not seem possible with the available reports. The only one that comes close is interaction details, but it filters by user, not external Annie. Any help would be appreciated. Thanks, Josh. So a couple of answers were given. One involving a query using the API, which wasn't going to work out because this needs to be for business users. And I came up with a suggestion that doesn't immediately match what Josh needs, but I think over the long haul would be exactly what's needed for this kind of situation. And that is using the external contacts feature that's built into Genesys Cloud. You can look at that in the Resource Center. There's a bunch of information in there about what external contacts are, how you import them, and how you use them. But basically, the external contacts feature will track all interactions with a particular customer. And you can search by the phone number, you can search by the name, you can search by the company, and it'll bring up actually a list month by month of all the interactions with that particular customer. So if we go back and we look real quick here, in the client, we've got the directory, external contacts. You can see there is a whole list of contacts in here and organizations that they belong to. So if I wanted to search for a phone number, it narrows it down to just that one contact. George Canal, go figure. And here I can look at maximum of 10 interactions per page. But here I can see all the interactions that we had with this individual. These ones for April, May. And if I click on one of them, I can actually bring it up. I can see who was involved. I can see the timeline information, the quality summary, the audit trail, and it's also bringing up the recording of that interaction. So if there was a recording, it'll pop it in there as well. Going back to that directory view for external contacts, once again, I can see emails, I can see calls, I can see callbacks, whatever it might be with that particular customer. And I can go month by month and just view what interactions we had with that person. Now, setting it up, a little bit more difficult because it takes some training of the people in the company, the users, to actually do it upright. If I were to get a call from somebody, or if I placed a call to somebody, I can't just automatically add their phone number in this inbound, outbound calls panel over here. I would have to actually go into that external contacts directory and then add a person. So add a contact, add an organization. And you can see I could click in here and I put first, middle name, and then I can put in a bunch of information about that person as well. The other thing that's possible for a company, if you have some kind of external data source for all your contacts, you can export that list into a CSV and then do a bulk CSV import. There's a sample file you can download here to see what the information should look like, and then you can drop a CSV in here or just browse to it and import a whole bunch of users at once, which is something I did in my organization. One other thing that's really handy is there's a Salesforce external contact sync integration. So if somebody's using Salesforce, you just install this Salesforce integration, and then you can synchronize external contacts back and forth with Salesforce. Both make changes in Genesys Cloud and have them updated in Salesforce, and make changes in Salesforce, have them updated in Genesys Cloud. So that's a whole other thing that's a really great feature. One more thing to note is that for calls that are associated with a queue, when the call comes inbound, it actually pops up the external contact that it's related to if it finds one in the database. Or if I'm doing a call, for example, here, I do a call on behalf of queue, customer service queue, and if I put in the phone number, 714-737, etc., it pops up that external contact. So when I go to place the call, I just choose the contact I'm going to call. Also, if I put in a number that's not recognized, so 714-735-7735, one of my best friends growing up, no results for the search, I hit enter, place the call, great, and then you'll notice that there's an ability to create new here. So within this queue-based call, I click create new, and I can add in all the customer information, name, and whatever. And then that will allow me to just add the person into the directory. So the next time that I call them, or they call in or whatever, then we're able to just have that information in the external contacts, and it tracks it. Great feature. So not exactly what Josh is looking for in the short term, but starting to fill in all those external contacts, it'll actually, because there are entries already in the database, it should just fill in all the past contacts as well. So as you add people in, it'll see all the interactions with those people based upon phone number in the past. And that would actually accomplish what he was looking for in the first place. So just an idea. Hopefully that helps. And you stay safe out there, Matt. Hope to see you again soon.
All right, everyone. That concludes this week's WEM Terrific episode. I know you've heard about it throughout the episode, but just as a reminder, May 28th, that's going to be the day of the Ask Me Anything event. In addition to that, we have a wonderful WEM community and, of course, a Genesys Cloud community. Please join them and contribute. If you ever have a question for the show, always feel free to email us. It's just qashow@genesys.com. Again, that's qashow@genesys.com. We love hearing your ideas of what kind of episodes you would be interested in, what experts from Genesys you would like to meet. All of it. All questions or suggestions are fair game. I think our next episode is going to be dedicated to the topic of AI, if I'm not mistaken. So if you have any questions about that you'd be interested in, please let me know ahead of time. Until then, I hope you and your loved ones are safe and getting ready for summer, because it is coming. All right. Have a good one, everybody. And yet again, happy May 4th or Cinco de Mayo. Hope your celebrations are out of this world. Cheers.
Thanks for tuning in for this week's episode. We hope it was helpful and maybe a little bit entertaining. Each week, our host and experts review community discussions and debate what content to discuss, so your voice matters. Did we miss something? Do you have a question for the show? Let us know. Join the conversation at the Genesys online community. As a Genesys customer or partner, you can create an account. Just click the sign in button found on most pages and follow the necessary instructions to create an account. Also, feel free to email us at qashow@genesys.com. We'd love to hear from you. If this is your first episode, welcome. You can view our entire archives. Go to the Helpful Links panel found on most community pages and find the QA Show archive that interests you. We appreciate your support of the show and the community. Cheers!